Okay, so let's present vertical asymptotes and talk about this a bit more. Remember, asymptote is a line we get really close to what we never really touch. And vertical, well, that means it's just a vertical line. So let's draw a vertical line and talk about it. Here's the vertical line. Looks familiar? When do we have such vertical lines that we get close to but never really touch? In the domain points. Okay? If this is a domain point, I can see stuff like this. So we only see vertical asymptotes at domain points. If your function doesn't have a domain point, it doesn't have a vertical asymptote. Now, let's look at the different options we have and how we write it down. Here's a function. Now let's assume I got two domain points, okay? I know that the function is now well defined at x equals -3, and it's now well defined, oops, sorry about this, and it's now well defined at x is 4. So I can ask here 4 questions actually. The question is, what happens when I get really close to this vertical line? But I can get close to this line from the left or from the right. So the question would be, for example, what happens, what is the limit, because I can't ask what happens at the point, it's not defined. What's the limit when x gets closer to -3 from the left, okay, from the numbers which are smaller than -3. So for example, it could look like this. As I get closer, in this case, I would get positive infinity. As I get closer to -3 from the left, the numbers become bigger, bigger, and bigger, and bigger. The values of the function become bigger, and bigger, and bigger, and bigger. Likewise, I could and should ask the question, what happens to my function as I get closer to -3 from the positive side, from the numbers which are bigger than -3. And again, I could see something like this. Okay, so again, the function goes to positive infinity. So in here, I would say that I do have an asymptote, a vertical asymptote at -3, which goes to positive infinity. And what else can I have? For example, again here, I can't really get to 4, but I can ask what happens when I really get close to 4 from the left side. And for example, I don't have to be positive, and I don't have to go to positive infinity. I can go to negative infinity, just like I have it here. So in here, the answer would be you have a vertical asymptote and it goes to negative infinity. But you don't have to have that. You can also have this situation. What does it mean? That as our function, the question is, what is the limit as my function gets closer to +4 from the positive side, from the bigger numbers? And in this case, the answer is a number. For example, we can say that this number here is -2. So the answer would be -2. And as you can see, this side of 4 doesn't have a vertical asymptote. So that's what it means, and that's what it looks like to ask about vertical asymptote.